Testing 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me, and we'll get started. My mic was okay. It's working now. All right. Good morning, and everybody. Welcome to the CB Consumer Confidence Trade Room. Let's get started. So, my name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director at 10-Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It's possible to lose money trading futures. Trade carefully, please. All right, the markets are opening. So there's actually an extra report. I have done so much testing over the past days, and I can't find a consistent setup for the 9:45 report. I've tried so hard. I'm gonna ask Chantal to look at it. I didn't have her look at it this month. We've kind of walked away from this report. It's called Flash Manufacturing. Let me put the news up and I'll show you. It's just, I just don't have a consistent setup. I'm not comfortable with any of my testing. Originally, I thought I almost had a great NQ trap trade, and it just didn't hold up over a couple of months. So it was a shame. It's also 9:45 in the morning is not a good time to trade the indexes for news because you're so close to the market open that and especially with what's going on with the Ukraine right now, they're very close, too close to the market open, especially for small reports. You know, when you're dealing with job reports, ADP, WASD, the major reports, it doesn't matter what the news in the world is. Those reports will still generally have a good response. It's when you get these medium level reports that sometimes you get a very big setup and a move, and then other times you just get nothing going on. So, like I said, I don't think the NQ is good to trade at 9:45 for a news trade. Now, gold normally is not that bad. It's not really that bad. But this particular trade, I'll show you a couple of quick videos, and then I think we'll watch it. I'll set up a test, but really, I think the concentration should be on consumer confidence because this report, there's nothing happening. And I do believe it's partly because of the time. The 9:45 time is not a good time for a report. If you look at last month on this report, so I've been looking at this report, trading it off and on for years. And honestly, it's just never been one of those steady setups. So it's not that we've done anything wrong. It's just a report that doesn't have a great setup. So this was January on this report. And let me just fast forward to it. I was testing gold as a trap trade and the NQ as a trap also. The NQ just fills so fast this time of day, it pretty much invalidates most of the setups. Gold as a trap trade on this particular report, the report hasn't been moving quite enough to give you a very good trap. The idea behind a trap is it's a specialized reversal trade. I mean, that's what a trap trade is. It's a specialized reversal trade. So you need a good initial move to take advantage of it. And last month, gold didn't reverse. It actually had a decent move, but only in one direction. It actually, if you were very patient, it would have worked as a breakout trade because you'll see it's just going up, up, and up, and up last month. And then if you look at a couple of other months on this report, you don't really, December is a little tricky. It's getting close to Christmas on this report. It was 9 days away. So I suppose it's right on the verge of being considered holiday trading. 9 days, we usually take most of the 2 weeks off before and after Christmas and New Year's. We start actually the week before Christmas. We take off and we come back New Year's. Officially, that's official. I mean, I still have trade rooms usually, but in December, it was just pretty much a minimal move as a breakout. And then in November, as a breakout gold, it really struggled. It hits the first target. Now, remember, the first target's only 5-6 ticks. You're not talking a giant move. So, a target 1 hits target 1. December didn't move. Let's look at one more. We'll go back to October. So, I mean, and we had walked, I really stopped even looking at this trade just because it just hasn't been worth the time. And then, interestingly enough, in October, it had a decent move. So if there was any possibility for this trade, it seems like the gold breakout still seems to be the better of any of the setups. I tried the trap trade. I tried quite a few different setups, but again, it's been, December, no move. November, small. So it's been a 50-50 at best on a small report. I mean, my gut feeling is I just think it's a report. Look, it might work, it might not. I mean, that's how I feel about the report. It might work, it might not. So I just don't feel that it's worth risking money on at this point. It just hasn't been steady enough as a winner. However, so let's say that I had a big account and I didn't mind risking a couple of $100. If I had a big account and I didn't mind risking, a couple of $100, I would set up a breakout trade. That's the trade I would set up. I'll show you. Let me record this. But don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not, at this point in time, I'm just not interested in trading it live because it hasn't had solid enough results. It's had a couple of months that moved and a couple of months that didn't. So but the news is going to come out. We might as well watch it and see what happens. All right. It's worthwhile to see if there's any hope. Otherwise, I mean, I've probably looked at this trade for too long. So a bracket, if you make your bracket too big, you're going to leave all your profit behind. So, but the markets are so volatile. So and that's one of the issues with small reports also. So here's what I would do. A bracket of 7 with a target of 6 and 15 and a stop of 12 and an entry of 9, 44, 59. Breakout trade. And that would be how I would look at this report. I mean, this has been the way I've been trading it, looking to trade it for years. I just couldn't come up with anything better. And then right after this, we'll pop over to CB Consumer Confidence. So let's check our time sync. Good morning, Jody. Check our time sync by going to the website time.is. So you've got, market opening volatility. Boy, the world is difficult, isn't it? All the world news is just too much. And in the midst of it all, my son is minutes away, possibly days away, from having twins. It could be at any moment. So I don't know. I really don't know. Congratulations. Yeah. I'm not feeling it. No twins in my family. So let's see what happens. Let's see if is this report tradable? Is it tradable? And I'm watching the ES because we have an alternative CB consumer confidence set up on the ES. That's the only reason I'm watching it. So this report comes out in 30 seconds. I don't have a trade set up on the ES. I'm just watching it. So I was using a 7 bracket on GC. Let's see if the news comes out on time. Okay, so you get an immediate fill. It's good news. It should push gold to the downside, you would think. Okay, it should push it to the downside. It's a decent offset. You know what I mean by offset, the expected news. It should hit that first target. That's what I would expect. Okay, look at that burst down also. So, it's a tough, this is what I've seen a lot of the time on this report. So it fills the first target, which was 6 ticks, and you certainly have time to protect yourself by moving your stop, right? You can definitely protect yourself. So, given the markets today, given everything that's going on, 3 out of 5 breakouts. So I would say that it's not going to make you rich, this trade, but it's not going to kill you either. It's not going to blow your account out. So I think the setup is okay. I think the setup's okay. And it looks like it's actually going to hit both targets if you're patient. But I want to go to CB Consumer Confidence. So the one thing I'm going to do is just save the setup. Hang on one sec. Now it's struggling to go any further. It might wind up getting there. So I'm just saving this setup so it's called Flash Manufacturing. I bet it just hit that target. Services. Today is 222.22. That must mean something somewhere. So it hit that target. So it looks like, this trade, I've looked at it for years and it sometimes works. that's how I would put it. It sometimes works. All right, so we don't have a lot of time. Let's set up consumer. Now, consumer confidence, I think that it's got a possibility of working. The DMM is not bad. Let me just get rid of this video. All right. So let's look quickly at the DMM. Put the recorder on. And CB consumer doesn't look bad on the DMM. It's also trading with Richmond, which never comes out on time. It's either early or late. And it usually doesn't have a big effect one way or the other. So the DMM for consumer confidence. And I do want to thank everybody on YouTube for watching us. If you'd hit the sign up for the channel, hit the like button, you know the routine. Hit the notification bell so you know the next time we'll be streaming. So you can see this has not been a poor performer. It's not a big mover. You've only got targets of 5 and 10, for the analysis. So, and very honestly, it's just not a big mover. The recordings are not, it's very similar to the previous report. It doesn't fill you with an incredible motivation to trade. But because consumer confidence is sort of like, the market's looking at how people feel. So I would do a slightly bigger second target in case there's a good move. I would want to take advantage of it, at least a little bit. So I'm going for a target of 5 and 15 instead of 5 and 10. That's how I would deal with it. Our entry time is 9:59:59. And it's a breakout. The one thing you can do is, if you wanted to, if target 1 gets hit, target 1 stop move, you could move your stop to break even -2. That's what I'm thinking. In other words, I want to move my stop in case it reverses fast without thinking about it. So target 1 stop move, I'm just putting in break even -2. Okay. So I'm using a 7 tick bracket. And I'm using targets of 5 and 15. The stop, pretty much the DMM, except I'm increasing the second target. If there should be a decent move, I'd like to make a little bit more money. Entry time is 9:59:59. And then I have a test set up on the ES, a trap trade. Not a live trade, just a test. So on the ES, I'll set it up. It's a trap trade with tiers. So I've got 2 orders, position 1 and 2. It's a 10 o'clock event. I'm going to put my orders on the chart 5 seconds before the event. Okay. And my tiers are not big, 4 and 8. Remember, I'm expecting the ES to reverse on this. Again, we're dealing with a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit bigger move because of the markets. I'm going to leave 4 and 10. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. If we get a good move, you can still take advantage of it. The stop would be 10 on the trap. So one order, position 1, position 1. Just make sure if you're actually trading along with me for fun, that your trap stop loss says last fill price. So the time of the event is 10 o'clock. Activation time means I'm putting my orders on the chart 5 seconds before 10 o'clock. Some software says prep seconds. It's the same thing. Prep seconds is the time, activation time. So just targets of tiers of 4 and 8. Those are my orders. Remember, the trap trade, the idea is a reversal. Okay. And again, with this kind of market, 9 to 10, 9:30 to 10 is tricky for news on the indexes. We are finding some reports to be tradable. So I just want to look at my brackets real quick. We got 5 minutes. The markets have been moving so much these days that sometimes the brackets are so small. So I just want to see them. That's all I'm doing for analysis purposes. Okay, let me change my charts. That's perfect. So in order to look, so a bracket of 7 I'm using, targets at 5 and 15, stop is 10, entry time is 9, 59, 59. Make sure everything is set because I had a range trade when I was testing. 5, break even -2. If target 1 hits my stop, my target, if my target gets hit, it'll move my stop to below the entry. And then looking at a test of a trap trade on the ES. Let's check our sync again. Never hurts. By going to the website time.is. That will put our computer in sync. So we also have an Australia event this evening. I had thought there was going to be a DMM for that report, and apparently there isn't. Still going to have the room. But the New Zealand report is not going to be tradable, unfortunately. So it's not going to be as long a trade room this evening. It's just going to probably be Australia. So I'm going to watch see if there's a trap trade. Now, this is usually, I'd say, we had a holiday this week. Everything is a little strange this week because of the holiday. The oil report is on a different day. API is on a different day. It's also the last week of the month. Next week is the busiest week. Usually the first and second weeks of the month are the busiest weeks for news. So CB consumer confidence, I'm expecting negativity. I think people are not feeling that great right now. I mean, there's too much chaos. I think that people are, I mean, I don't think people are feeling optimistic right now. I don't know that people are broke, Calvin. I don't know. I mean, spending is up. But everything is so changed. You know, when you think about, I went downtown where I live yesterday, and just, you know, is anyone ever going to, what are they going to do? What's going to happen with all the offices? There's no way that everybody's going back 5 days a week ever. Because if you can work from home, you know, if you don't, you know, if you're not working on the mass transit, or you're not a sanitation worker, there's, you know, a lot of jobs don't need people in the office 5 days a week. So I don't know. The world's going to have to change so much. See, Richmond came out early. Remember what I was saying? That's it. Almost always does that. And not as bad of an offset. In other words, usually it has a very big offset also. It didn't today. But you see, it had no effect on the market at all. So it's not a trade that you trade by itself, certainly, right? So consumer confidence, it filled, not a very good move. It's a little bit negative, which I don't like. I mean, positive. So I don't want to be in this trade. I'm shrinking my stop. Okay, so, you know, it's insane. These markets are insane, folks. It's absolutely insane. The news was almost matching. Okay, almost matching. I mean, you know, I'm a little bit flabbergasted. Let's watch the trap. So look, I didn't get out of the gold trade, but I felt it was a little bit positive. I felt, if anything, it wasn't going to burst up. There was no real motivation for it to burst up the way that it did. So I'm just, you know, I'm only a little bit flabbergasted because it's difficult to make the right decisions with the markets behaving the way they are. They're really tricky. Now you could see that the trap, and this is why I'm testing the trap. We'll watch the video in a second. Now I made $40. I probably could have made 100 on this report, to be honest. You know, maybe if I just had left it alone, but it didn't seem like it was responding. It just sat. But I mean, everything's responding slowly, so that's not a strong enough reason. I just didn't feel it had the motivation to go up because the news result was positive. I don't know. You know, it's like I said, I'll take the small profit. and move on to the next report, because this report has been really hard to trade and make money on. It just has been. It has been. I think the setup is okay. We can stay with the breakout on consumer confidence. It's okay. Did it work strangely today? Yeah, look at that wick. It was just a very strange burst, and then it decided to go in the opposite direction, even though there's a slight, very slight upward trend in gold. So just, and the news wasn't nearly the result that I think the market was expecting. I think the market, they're saying they were expecting 110. They got what they were expecting. So a little bit tricky to trade this report. A little bit tricky to trade it. If you just had left it alone, it would have been better than trying to outthink it. I think I tried to outthink it and probably left some ticks on the table because of that. All right, so what's our next event today? So let me just go over the schedule. So at 7:15, we've got Australia's wage price index. Now, I wasn't planning. I actually thought we might have a DMM for it. I put no on the schedule, so I was correct that there wasn't a DMM. We used to trade this report a lot, and it used to move really nicely at times. And I thought it might be worth having the room because there's so much attention on prices, okay? Wages going up, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, it's worth trading. New Zealand, it's not worth staying for it because we will not be trading it going forward. The release times are not viable for us, for me as a trader. Most of them are very late at night. And it's so low liquidity that it's not going to be easy to trade anyway. I just don't think it's going to be, after looking at it and going over it. I probably shouldn't have put it on the schedule, so I'm just going to stay tonight for Australia. Okay, so we'll be back at 7:15. Yeah, Andrew, I'll be happy to show you. All right, so Andrew is asking, can you please show the parameters? Did you trade it live, Andrew, or did you trade it in sim? Okay. Well, let's look at the video first. How about that? Okay, because that will tell us, because I wasn't watching it at all. And then we'll come back. I'll leave my platform up and we'll come back and adjust it. We'll look at the settings. I mean, I know what my settings were. I can actually, let me show you the settings. Okay. And then we'll watch the video. So my settings on the trap. Nothing gets changed on the top except position size 1 is a 1. Position size 2 is a 1. Okay. Everything else is default except the stop, which is a 10. And yes, 10 is correct. This break-even profit ticks, this field is going to be removed. It's not supposed to be there. It has no effect, but it was put there. It was left by accident. That's something that has to be fixed. Just so you know, it doesn't matter what it says. It's ignored. Tier 1 was 4 ticks. Tier 2 was 10. And that's important. That's going to determine where you get filled. And then the activation time, which yours probably says prep seconds, that has to do with when do the orders go on the chart. And that's very important. They're going to go on, the time of the event is 10 o'clock. So if the activation or prep second says 5, it means the orders are going to go on the chart 5 seconds before 10 o'clock. Yours was at 45, which is the default. Andrew, that's the default. Now, it's interesting. Years ago, we used to do it at 45, but the odds of getting filled early in these volatile markets are quite extreme now, and you don't want to get filled early. So it's funny, but that it just shows that's like on a breakout trade, that setting is similar to the entry time. But yes, that's why the trade it did you get filled early? Is that what happened, Andrew? It actually filled early also? Yeah, yeah. So that is something you don't want to happen because it means you're getting filled before the news came out. So it doesn't have the value of trading the news. Okay. It doesn't have the value of trading the news. So before I go, stick around, folks. I'll show the video. I just want to let everyone on YouTube know thank you for coming. And if you'd like to join our trade room, here's the way you can sign up. www.jointhetraderoom.com. Okay. It's $97 a month to join the trade room. So if you're on YouTube, definitely come join us. It's worthwhile. We have a lot of fun. We learn a lot. www.jointhetraderoom.com. Okay. And then let's look at the video and see what happened in this trade. It did behave a little bit strangely. Let me just render the video. It takes 1 second. $222.22. I don't remember seeing that in a very long time. Okay, here's the video. Okay, watch the left for the gold trade. That was the main trade. And it certainly acted well. Look, I'm not going to say it acted slow. Everything's been taking its time to respond. I would not use 10-second cancels on anything these days. So it was slow. I truly thought it was going to reverse. That's called hovering. Okay. When price fills, right, and it sits, we call that hovering. And very often, but not always, hovering can lead to a change in direction. And that was one of the reasons I was thinking we weren't going to hit our upper targets. Okay. And that's why I was thinking, it's very possible this trade may not work. It has the look of a trade that doesn't want to push up. That's what I thought. And the news was slightly positive. So I shrunk my orders, combined them together, okay, and just moved them down. So if I was wrong, I would get out of the market with a small profit. And that's what happened. I truly thought we were going to get stopped out, especially when it started going back down. And then it had that little bit of a jerk up. Let's watch that. And there's no reason for that. It's the way the index moves sometimes. Herky-jerky, especially in these markets. We see that a lot more than normal. And boom. So it definitely would have hit easily the first target, maybe even the second, because it was only set to 10 initially. Let's look at, so I overthought it, to be truthful, but I truly felt it was not going to work, and I didn't want to take a full loss. So I'll stand behind not wanting to take a full loss based on behavior anyway, because that's just what you do. Sometimes you make a decision not to sit, and that decision is not the best one. You can't do anything about that when it happens. So let's look at the trap trade. The ES didn't seem to work very well. It doesn't seem to have a big enough move to make the trap trade all that interesting on the ES. So initially it just goes down, which almost looks like it's just part of the pre-trade downward movement that was happening on the ES before the news came out. And it just continued down. I mean, it seems like the trap trade failed just because the ES at 10 o'clock and before 10 o'clock was deciding to start to sell off. So again, these markets at 10 o'clock can make the ES index tricky to trade because it may not be responding to news. That almost looks like it's not really responding to news, that it was just the market. So, and that's why I'm testing the trap trade. The results just haven't been that great. Any other questions, folks? Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll be back at 7:15 for a quick little trade room. It'll be a short trade room because the trade's at 7:30. So it's just going to be a quick setup. Any other questions? All right. All right. So I'll see everybody else. Andrew, you're welcome. Anytime. We'll be back here at 7:15. Okay. Thanks, everyone on YouTube. Would you need a NinjaTrader account to trade your software? Yes, Steve. If you want to use our software, you do have to be signed up with NinjaTrader. It does work on NinjaTrader. So that's a yes. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you, everybody. I'll see everybody later.